Hey everybody, what is going on? This is Dan, and today I am talking about my dating life as a millennial, or my dating life more specifically. And I kid you not, as I look to my right, I have my phone hovering on a platform where a application is open called Bumble, where I am talking to somebody. So I wanted to talk about why I'm creating this playlist and this series of my dating life, my personal life and dating, and all these different ideas and these different aspects to my dating life. Um, I think it's really important to document what's going on. And for too long, I've been putting aside why my dating life, which is like a really big portion of my life. If you're one of my friends, you can most likely ask any of my friends, about me and my dating life, and they'll surely say, Dan is always actively dating, going on dates, meeting new people, and I enjoy it. I really enjoy, meeting new people and, being on the hunt, not in a sense to like hook up, but to really find somebody. And I think that it's getting more serious now, not just because it's the place that I want to be in, but when I look back in retrospect, 18 to 23 were very interesting years because I've had a couple relationships, and I guess I'll talk about them, at some point. And I had decently lengthy relationships, but now things are getting a little bit more serious. And the more that I am growing up, the more that I realize how much, I would not say competition, but there are some things that I'm learning very quickly with over time, obviously. And these are things that I'm bringing now to you, but I've been thinking about for so long. It's time to pump and dump these ideas to you guys so that you're aware of them. But there's just so many things that I'm aware of now in the dating world, dating millennials, maybe, dating people who are in their 30s. Very, things that carry on across the board as me. And so I'll give you an example. So one thing I've noticed is that, I really enjoy talking and I really appreciate the company of people, of women who are very intelligent. Something I'm drawn to. That's really hard to find. And let's just say we'll take that one example. When you do mostly, online dating, which is kind of where I am, just because I'm just, I really don't meet that much people outside of work and, getting things up and running myself. We went back to school, so, I'll probably meet a lot of people back at school. I could talk about that in another video, but I would say, using this one example of really appreciating uh, women who are intelligent, it's far and few in between, it seems. And as I tell clients and I tell people, like, when they ask me, I can't find the kind of guy or the girl that I want, and I say, listen, you can't go to a bar and you can't go to a generic place and expect to find somebody unique, right? Unique and relevant to you, right? Because in dating, it's all about finding other people who are relevant to you. And I say to people, follow your interests, and that will lead you to a more probable situation of meeting another person that has a lot of similarities or similar interests in you. And so I can literally tell myself, okay, Dan, in this example, I like intelligent women. I can go to like philosophy meetups. I could go to, I can go to like the opera, maybe. I could just try and figure out some different like interests that I would have that correlate, right, with somebody who is smart, or intelligent or above average intelligence. That would be really cool. And that's one example, and it could be any example. And as I'm getting, I'm 25 now, I'm shifting. to a more serious place. I mean, it's always been serious. My dating life has really consisted of trying to find women who are, they hold themselves accountable for how they, for how they are around others. Just kind of fundamental social cues that tell me that, cool, they have like a very high EQ, right? They have a high emotional awareness, emotional intelligence. I'm looking for somebody who's building themselves up and they're trying to self-realize, and they're, they understand that they affect people in a particular way just by being in the same room. That's a pretty big one for me. Because I'm very sensitive to people's emotions and physical cues and their behavior. I'm very aware, outwardly aware of what people are doing in the moment, right? I don't necessarily mind when, and I'll say this again, I'm not, I think people have the wrong idea when it comes to pickiness, and I'm trying to bring this all back to my dating life, because, I don't consider myself to be picky. And I don't think anybody should be picky, but what I really think people should more or less focus on is who they are, what life choices do they want to make in the future, and where do they see themselves going with that person, with what they are envisioning for themselves, right? And so I'll give you an example. Me personally, I want, for the next 10 years, I want to travel, have an online business where I'm doing online, whatever, I'm coaching, or I have products and I'm traveling, going to different events that I'm a part of. And, part of my career is traveling, and I want that other person to travel with me, or, semi-frequently with me. That would be really cool to have, like a primary spot that we resonate in. And then, there's travel time. That's what I want for the next couple of years, and I want to share, for me, what's really important is sharing my time with somebody, and kind of really celebrating life together. I've never really been somebody to really have a lot of people in my social circle, because that's a lot of data. And so I'll give you an example. There's people who have many, many friends, and I don't think those people are truly friends to one particular person. I think that when you spread too thin, too many people, you start to lose focus on the quality of those relationships. And I don't want that. And I wouldn't want to do that to other people. And if I have 50 friends, I want to make sure that they're all getting my undivided attention and presence and time and focus and all these different things. And you just can't do that with I guess more than maybe 5, 10, 15 people, right? At most, right? That's incredible if you could do that. Me personally, I like having like a tight knit of like five people, a little bit more maybe. And I have a whole bunch of people that I know. But I would say dating life as a millennial is hard, because, I want to bring this back to me being a millennial and dating. And so dating life is hard being a millennial, right? Dating life it's very, I wouldn't say competitive, but there is more of like an accountability, and this can go, I guess, between all ages. There's accountability to kind of be, growing yourself in particular ways. In my lifetime right now, my life, in my generation, or in where I am in life, my age being 25, I'm really working on my kind of like my career, my education, building my relationships with people that actually, that matter and that I see long term with, meeting new people, helping others, right? And I think there's an expectancy within on people in the dating world, more or less because there's more of like an opportunity to choose whoever you want to date. And you see this on the dating apps. People are less and less relying on interpersonal communication in the real world to date. More people are finding each other on apps, or maybe through very close friends to close friends. That space is getting smaller, and it's coming to the point where dating apps are taking over. People are less likely, I feel like, to meet people mutually. Though it all happens, and it depends on where you are, obviously. For me, I work a lot. I'm going to go back to school soon. You know, I have my close friends, you know, like for once in my life, I actually asked my friend, because she's getting married. I was like, you know, if you could, like, you know, I would love to see, kind of like, we made a bet. And I said, if I win, you know, give me, you know, you have to introduce me to somebody. Right. And she was like, okay, cool. You know, so it's really interesting to have that kind of mindset of, you know, having your friends, you know, friends that know you, right. And, you know, look for somebody who would be compatible. That's weird for me. I would never even contemplate trying to meet somebody through somebody that I would know. I don't believe in that. I believe in just a purely spontaneous, anonymous kind of approach to dating, which that's why I really like dating apps, because I'm just so fascinated by meeting people who I don't know. They're out there, but they're there, right? So dating life is just, you know, I've dated a lot. There's this competitiveness, you know, you can swipe left and right on people. You can choose whoever you want to, you know, pursue. And it's kind of stressful in the sense that, you know, if you're talking to somebody, they could be talking to 50 different people. You know, there's more opportunity out there for both guys and girls. You know, it's come down to a numbers game. People can be more selective because the dating pool is there. It's more like a dating ocean now. You know, there's tons of people out there. You can change your location to wherever you want in the world and then find somebody there. And though that's really cool, you have to ask yourself, what does that do to, you know, my generation, the millennial generation, right? With this increase in opportunity to meet people, you know, where there's less of a there's less of a focus on an actual relationship than it is more to find that person. And I feel like you just have more people experiencing other people, and there's less kind of synchronizing and kind of investing, which is, I don't believe, always the case, but in my experience, you know, there's a lot of meeting women, there's a lot of, you know, going on dates, and some things working out, but there's this underlying feeling that, you know what, at the end of the day, like, this person could just stop talking to me because they have no ties with me. And although we are spending time together, you know, if this isn't going well and there isn't the communication and the intimacy for their, you know, which is needed, this person could just walk away, you know, this person could. And there's been countless situations where, you know, it's just really a matter of trying it out and figuring out if, you know, if situations work. You know, this year alone, I've touched base with a number of different women, thinking it might have gone somewhere, and some of them ended up being really bad choices, you know, from dating apps, and some were not so bad choices. Some were just maybe bad timing, and some, you know, you never know, because sometimes when you try to communicate to somebody, they don't communicate back, and then, you know, and that's the other caveat to dating on dating apps, is that you know, you're messaging people, but without building rapport with somebody, without really getting to know them, without hearing their voice or seeing them, when they're just a text message, right? When this person is just a message away from you, it's truly hard to really move forward. And so something that I try to do when I'm using like a dating app is I try to like communicate with people as fast as I can over the phone, and see where that can really go. And I'd done this recently, and I was actually kind of bummed out, because there was a girl recently where we were talking on the phone for, you know, hours, like 3 or 4 days in a row, and then nothing, right? Just totally vanished. And then there's another girl after that, and you know, that didn't go anywhere as well. But the girl that I'd spent hours on the phone with, you know, we were about to like kind of meet up and have plans, and then that falls through. So it's kind of weird, because, you know, you don't know what you're signing up for when you match with somebody, right? There's no history. There's, you know, it's really just kind of open game, and you don't really know what to expect. And although that's okay, because I guess that's the interesting part, is that you don't know this person. At the end of the day, like, it really depends, because people are even more focused. This is the other thing that's going on with millennials. People who are millennials are just so, um, time is just worth so much, right? And, I feel like anybody who values themselves knows that, valuing your time and what that's worth, and what you'd rather do, what you'd rather not do, and where you put your attention is really important. Um, but I think there comes a point though where, uh, you know, I just think people are either afraid to invest because they're hurt, or they're whatever, or they're maybe. I feel like some people in general aren't even ready to date. I feel like at least 85 to 90% of the whole population in the whole world is not ready to date. I feel like people have to learn to be in balanced places before they date. And a lot of my experiences between the last half of last year and the first half of this year, up until now, I've run into a lot of women who are still getting things together emotionally, mentally, in their environment, in their life. And there's, and that's okay to date. But if you're not like at least like an 8 out of 10 balance, or a 9 out of 10 balance, or a 10 out of 10, like you're good, in terms of like your family and taking care of yourself and having your own fun and enjoyment, and, personal growth and development, your spirituality, and spending time with your family. There's so many different variables or dimensions to your life that creates a balance. And if you're not totally there, at least at an 8 out of a 10, like if I asked you right now, whoever's watching this, how balanced are you in your life? And you said at least, anything lower than an 8 out of 10, I would be really concerned, and that's something I ask my clients. I say, I understand you want a relationship, and you may be lonely, or you may be, you may think a relationship's really good for you right now. But if you're not at a 8 out of 10, at least balance, and you can maintain that over time and learn how to balance your life over time, then I don't think bringing somebody into your life is really going to be a really good addition. Because though that would be a great, extension of your life to have somebody in it, but you got to make sure you're taking care of your house before you invite somebody in, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't realize that they're affecting that person that they want to go and date, right? And it's really weird how many first dates you have, and the guy or the girl brings all this baggage to the date, or the experience between you two, and then that can carry over into, like, when you have sexual experiences with somebody. And it's very frightening for me to feel that there's a lot of people out there who are overlooking the personal responsibility to say, I'm not in a balanced place, and I'm going to stay out of the dating world, get my stuff together and have like a 360 balance, a average amount of balance in your life, and then date. But people are just going out and dating, and they're swiping and they're swiping and they're dating, and they're going on the app, and when they're in a funk they go on, and when they're not in a funk they go on anyway, and when they have a girlfriend they go on anyway, and when they're just broken up they go on it anyway. There's so many different reasons why people go on, or just go out and date and explore, which again, it's healthy. We all have our drives and motives, but at the end of the day, we have to take more personal responsibility. And I think that millennials definitely need to do that. And in my life, like right now, I'm looking for something serious, and everything's coming together. And although it's like a passion of mine to really help, to coach men and couples, and, whether male, I take both male and female clients, but it's a passion of mine to be in this space, and to see a lot of the obstacles that people face because they weren't taught, nobody, I wasn't taught, but to see so many people not taught, fundamental principles of dating and interpersonal relationships, and different skills in socializing, and different things to be mindful and aware of, a foundation to walk on when it comes to other people. It's truly frightening sometimes. And it's more or less frightening too when you're trying to date, and then you also you think somebody's really cool, and then they haven't discovered these principles themselves, and you're like, man, like, I don't know if I could do this. So you know what I mean, in terms of finding somebody who is kind of on the same wavelength as you, right? And I do believe that there is somebody for everybody, or multiple somebodies for multiple everybody's, right? If that makes sense. But my dating life has kind of been a little different lately, and a really cool idea that I have for you is you never like to kind of stem away from dating apps for a second and its role in society right now. Where dating apps are really in the business of keeping you single, not getting you into a relationship, which is the part of the problem. I think that part of my shift is like finding something serious, that's something that I really am looking for. But also this idea that you never know who you're walking past on the side of the street, or that guy or girl at the desk next to you, or is either at school or out in a coffee shop or at a library or wherever, or the guy at the grocery store who gets the same brand you do. Like, you never know like who you are truly standing next to or walking past or you're viewing. And sometimes I have these ideas where I'm like, what would happen if I just jumped over 5 of these fences and I ran over to that one girl over there, and I asked her, what's going on, because I found her attractive, and maybe there's synergy. For all the different experiences for all the decisions we don't make that go against meeting somebody out of fear. um and by the way, I've met tons of people totally random like that, and I love doing that, and I love meeting people, not just guys, but I love running across women in random places when it's so ambiguous, and just going up to them and seeing what's going on, and seeing if there's synergy, and seeing if why the universe is like, of all the places you and me could have been, we're here right next to each other, right? And I think it's truly fascinating that not only are we living in the probability of us being living human beings, but the probability that you can talk to somebody next to you, and that the odds of them being right in front of you are just so slim, yet they're there, and you being either attracted to them, or there being synergy because you're at the same event or meeting space. That's really cool to me. And I think more people really need to appreciate the fact that there is so much, there's so many people out there to meet, and there's so many people not maximizing on their interests, that I think that people really need to, they need to take advantage of that, and they need to figure out that balance. They need to do that exploration. And you need to kind of understand yourself more, and kind of make personal dev a part of your life ongoingly. Like, you just need to put a focus on your own yourself, and really strive for that balance, if that makes sense. Because you're striving for your balance and you're doing all these activities, they actually end up leading to more people. The more balanced your lifestyle is, the more opportunity actually comes your way. And I think that's really cool. I think that a lot of people don't really realize that when people ask me, how can I find the person for me? It's just as simple as doing what you love, exploring your interests, and appreciating the people that come along the way randomly, right? Everybody's an anomaly that, is worth exploring. And even if it doesn't lead to something, you have a new kind of perception of the world that's added to your overall outlook of life, or whatever. And sometimes I can only think of like who I would be if I haven't, talked to as many women as I have, or talked to as many people, or did my hosting events, or did YouTube, and didn't meet the people that I am now connected to. And hereafter, right, if you're watching this video, I think that's truly fascinating. And I think it's definitely it's seen as, it's just underrated. I think it's not given as much credit, meeting people. And I just think there's so much more potential in the dating world than there is right now. And, in terms of my dating life, millennials are hard to date, and, like I try to date older. I try different things. I try to date different kinds of people and see what works and what doesn't work for me. And, I'm here where I am now, and it's still rough. It's still, conversations get repetitive and redundant, meeting new people and the same, open liners, and not the same open liners, but using openings, and then, seeing what they do and seeing this and that and the third, and trying to get, getting on a date if you get one, and then exploring that person, and then you start all over again if that person doesn't seem like it's a good fit. And, I do this casually, of course, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to stay relevant to me, and I'm trying to not waste others' time, and I'm really trying to stay focused and attentive to the fact that there may be something there, there may not be something there. And that's really important, because the worst thing in the world is when you don't tell a woman when you're not feeling it, right? And you just kind of you ghost them, and ghosting is just pretty much, you just cut off communication. I think if you don't see something there, then you should just you should let that person, like, hey, I don't think this is working out. It was really nice getting to know you and stuff, and I think you're a really cool person. But best of luck to you, right? I think there should be more communication of that, and setting an intention with dating. And like, you'd be surprised how many people don't know why they want to date or be in a relationship and go or get out there. Some people just think it's the thing to do after you get out of a breakup. Some people just, it's the thing to do when you're bored, or it's the thing to do when you're too busy, you just get on the dating app. No, you gotta compensate. You gotta figure out your work-life balance and your life balance in general. You really kind of have to do that. And so I don't like it when people use the excuse, oh, I'm too busy, this is why I'm on the dating apps. And I'm just like, no, like, if you can't figure out how to utilize your time effectively for how you want to use it, then you have bad time management skills. You're just kind of letting work take over. You're trying to work with the margins of time that you have to do your interests and your family, and then your chores, and then whatever you have to do, your errands, and then so I don't accept the fact that people could say, I work too much, or I do this, or I go to school, and this is my situation. I just don't believe in that. I believe that, if you value your time, right? Intention and where you put your time speaks so much volume than anything else in the world. So by speaking your intention, by actually laying down the ground and telling people, like, this is what my intention with you, this is where I am right now, and you show it, and you give them that your time, and you're calling them, and you're seeing them, and you're seeing if it's going to work, right? That's great. And then if you don't give them time, and then they get weird, you say, yes, my intentions have changed. Like, I don't see you long term anymore. I am attracted to you, yes, but I don't think we are a match. If you want to do anything else, if you want to, this is like there. And you say it in your own way, but you always keep your intentions active, because it's important when you don't know somebody to kind of to have that transparency. It's very important. And I try to do that as best I can. And I try to, respect and appreciate everybody, in the moment when I am, connecting. And, in terms of like my dating life, which I just always go back to, it's actually kind of like, I spend a good amount of time, talking to people and seeing if seeing we can connect, and then meet up in the real world. And like, I'll say, like, maybe a majority, like, I'll give you an example. My friends probably only know about 5 or 10% of all the people that I probably date or talk to or become active with. And it kind of stems from my place of really valuing intimacy, of really valuing a connection with somebody, and that time together, and the fact that to really figure it out, you kind of I go out of my way, and we're on like another planet figuring it out. I kind of separated from my, it's like I'm living like a double life almost. And, to see if that can come into my actual life, I gotta separate it and then put it, and work and do something else. So, but I really do, I do enjoy dating. I do really like meeting people, but my mission is always to like, obviously find somebody long term. And it's very hard because, for some reason, I personally believe at this moment, I believe this for a long time, that, once you become in a balanced place, then the other person that you're supposed to be meeting will be able to identify you easier, or it'll be so much I'll be so easily identifiable than if I was not in a balanced place. Because when you think about it, and this is something to take for granted, imagine you're not at like a peak balance right now. Let's just say your life is like all over the place and you are, I don't know, you're at like a 5 out of 10 balance in your life. Do you honestly think the woman or the man that you are ideal with and together, right? Do you think that person is going to recognize you for who you are? Do you think that person is going to recognize you, not in a balanced place? They may find you attractive, but they may get that vibe. They may get that energy that you're going through a lot, and that they may back up, right? And I'll give you an example. There's a girl I work with at this restaurant that I work at, right? And she has this vibe that she's the kind of girl where it seems that she was hurt, right, by somebody, and she has this attitude everywhere she goes, or this little patience effect with people. And this happened. I see this a lot with women. I see this a lot where they, a lot of women can kind of castrate themselves out of experiences because they get attached with how they were negatively affected by other men. And it gives new men and the opportunity that she's trying to find somebody, that these guys, no opportunity, because she's stuck in limbo. She's stuck in, what she was conditioned from that other person, or maybe for something from childhood. I don't know. But there are ways around that. But, we walk around, and that's what that looks like when you're not being accountable for how you come off to people. And there's just a ton of people, and we all do it. I do it too. Like we all walk around a particular way, and it interchanges sometimes, and that may not be the best way to be presenting for others in a healthy way, and to affect others in a positive way as much as you should be affecting yourself in a positive way. And that puts a particular image out to maybe your ideal person, or other ideal mates, right? Other guys or other girls. And they might be like, you know what, this person is X, Y, and Z. I don't, this vibe isn't really healthy, or this vibe is weird. Meanwhile, if you were in a balanced place, maybe it would have been perfect. You would be in a totally different mental space, visual space, your verbal communication would be different. And there may be a more likely possibility. And so it's not about being on your game 24/7, but this is where it comes back to like the by chance factor, and then the balance probability factor, right? If you're balanced and you're navigating through your life accordingly, and you're holding yourself accountable for how you come off, I think that's just a huge power. And you bring presence to the people you talk to. You're actually curious. You want to get to know people. And you make sure that you state your intention, that you're giving your time, and that it's like you like, they know that like you're giving them the time of day, that focus, that presence. I think that's all that really matters. And as in terms of fundamentals, there's more stuff, but that's where I'm trying to be. And it's really surprising how so many women cannot reciprocate that, and which is another part of dating, is that it has to be reciprocal. And a lot of people think that they can be take and take, and it can be one-sided, and you can hide behind a wall while you're within the dating spectrum. And that doesn't work either, because to date somebody is to really get to know them, and for them to get to know you, you need to bring your walls down and then really bridge that intimacy. But if you're both hiding behind barriers that you put up, you know, that other person isn't going to perceive you as accurately as you want them to, and they may not open up, and vice versa. And you know, that's a dilemma. So, you know, all these different concepts play a role for multiple things one way or another, and it's really important to factor in the thought that you may not be in a balanced place to date. You may need to work a little bit more on you and put more attention on that. And that's totally okay. Is it okay not, should you not date now because of all these different things I'm talking about? No, but you self-discover within the process. And this is why I say I in part enjoy dating, even though it sucks that, you know, the next girl, you know, it may or may not work out. I hope it does. And like, I hope it leads to something, but at the end of the day, you should learn a little bit more about yourself in the process and know a little bit more about what you're looking for, know a little bit more about who you are and what what you're looking for, what you want long term, what you don't want, right? All these different things. That's what really matters, you know, because it's you, whether, you know, it's you at the end of the day and it's you at the beginning of the day. And I guess I'll end off with this idea that, you know, not to blow your mind, but it's like we have such a finite amount of time in life. Here we go. Ready? Finite amount of time in life, but then we have a smaller amount of time with the people in it, right? And you know, you really have to think about that. We have more time living our life, right? You know, let's just say we live to 90 years. We may not be as close, you know, we may not have friends for the 90 years we exist. You know, the people that are within our lives don't last as long as the life that we ourselves live. And it's really important to notice that. And within all this, you know, dating stuff, we keep the mindset that at the end of the day, we are single with or without somebody, and that when we date and we want to find somebody long term, it's to add that extension to our life that is going to bring us more happiness, different experiences, and somebody to, you know, share our time and enjoyment with, to share life experiences with. And I think that's the most important thing to think about. So hope you guys like this video. I know it's like a pretty big overview to this dating series that I'm about to unravel for you guys. I will keep you up to date, and I'll try to do like a video a week in this series and keep it very relevant, keep very, very, very data driven with my personal life, and explain more about some of the stuff I'm talking about in this video. And I hope you enjoyed this. If you like this video, you have tons of questions, I'll be able to answer them in videos. You know, I'm more than open to sharing and giving back. And, you know, if you want to reach out to me personally and you're going through something, you know, let's work together. Let's see if we can get you moving forward. And in terms of that, I will talk to you soon. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Help bring my channel forward to people who really need to see this. And I will see you next time. Cheers.